This is a presentation for EDU30010. This is preparing for NAPLAN and assessment in literacy. NAPLAN is the National Assessment Program for Literacy and Numeracy Assessment. This is an assessment which assesses years 3, 5, 7 and 9 students, and it covers skills in reading, writing, spelling, grammar and punctuation and numeracy as well. This test is designed for testing students to ensure that parents can see what their child's performance is in regards to the standards of the Australian curriculum. And standardised testing provides information to schools, education authorities and governments with information needed to make changes in regards to whether teaching and learning programs are effective and reflective in students reaching important educational outcomes in literacy and numeracy. For the NAPLAN testing, teachers need to scaffold students' learning. So Hamid explains that scaffolding in context of interactions in the classroom is the temporary assistance which is provided to students by their teachers to give support when needed to successfully complete tasks or develop understandings of concepts to eventually be able to complete similar tasks without guidance or support. Through implementing sequence lesson plans and the implementation of scaffolding students' learning, students are challenged to complete tasks and then more complex tasks for future development. The concepts which students learn in the classroom is knowledge that is scaffolded from students' previous learning and developed over time. The learning is linked directly to the Australian curriculum, which means that the NAPLAN assessment will assess concepts which have been taught and learnt in the classroom. Students will be given the opportunity to practice and implement their skills and develop those skills in the classroom regards to reading, writing, listening and speaking. The Captain's Chronicle is an example of what students will be completing in the NAPLAN. So these are some questions and a reading document which they will have. So some literacy concepts that students will be scaffolded to learn in the classroom. The first one is reading comprehension. So this is the Captain's Chronicle. In question 2 of the Captain's Chronicle is assessing students' abilities to read and comprehend the text that's given. By answering a question correctly, students demonstrate that they have the ability to construct meaning from the text. This question assesses how well students comprehend the text that they read and whether they understand what the text is actually saying, and includes the ability to draw inferences and identify patterns and clues in a text. So just here you can see in the first paragraph under the heading calling all swashbackers. This question requires students to interpret the information and the relevant section and make an inference based on their understanding, and specifically students need to recognize the significance of take a look. So this is seeing what students' reading comprehension is. How comprehension is scaffolded from year 3 to 5. So this shows you how it's linked directly to the Australian curriculum and how the marking guide for NAPLAN will work for this level. Then the second literacy concept is language devices. So the 5th question of the Captain's Chronicle is analysing students' abilities to identify and understand the complexity of language through comprehension and of the meaning of the text. So here it says ABS has a capital for each letter with a full stop following because. And then the students need to answer and translate information in the text and apply their knowledge of conventions pertaining to the way the acronyms are used. This here shows how the NAPLAN test links directly to the Australian curriculum for language devices. The third one is creating texts. So creating text, question 10 of the Captain's Chronicles, is analysing students' abilities to create text from what they have read and what they have comprehended from the text. So here it shows that students will read what the text is and answer a question. And this is an open-ended question for them to answer. This shows how the grading of the NAPLAN test is linked directly to the Australian curriculum for creating texts. Assessments across years 3, 4, and 5. So standardized testing is one test which is used in teaching, but there are many other forms of testing which we use throughout the year. So we're just going to go through a few and pick them out. The first one is a reading assessment, which is TORCH. A TORCH reading assessment is designed to assess students' comprehension skills and what their reading behaviour is and what they display and demonstrate during reading. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to complete. Students will be reading a section of the test and they will be marked as the test is being read. The TORCH assessment is considered to be useful in making an estimate on individual students' reading achievements. And the benefits of this assessment are that teachers are able to match the difficulty of achievement for each student, because each student's reading is at a different level. The second part of the assessment, one that we're looking at, is a writing assessment, which is the PAT-R. So this is the Progressive Achievement Test in Writing, Spelling and Punctuation and Grammar. So this is a writing test where the students will sit and correct misspelt words. Half the words are misspelt and highlighted that they're misspelt, and the other half of the words are not highlighted, but the students need to find them. The benefit of this test is that it increases students' level of engagement and improves learning outcomes. It's an automatic scoring system which allows teachers to focus on teaching rather than marking tests, and it also makes it easier for teachers to use assessment results immediately to maximise their teaching. The next one is the speaking and listening assessment, so verbal presentation. A strategy which assesses students' speaking and listening is to engage students in a topic and give them a range of questions or points which the students need to address in speech to the class. And by having students present information to the class, teachers are able to assess students' speaking and listening skills through formative assessment by checking off the aims which reflect the Australian curriculum. So just here you can see some language skills that we will be looking at as the student speaks. So it's assessing their formal speech, phrasing questions and conducting interview. The next bit is speaking skills. So do they use clear speech? Maybe their non-verbal behaviour, eye contact and expression is also assessed here. And then their listening skills, so when they're actively listening and carefully concentrating on a question or a response, and when they actually answer a question or give a question to what they have been listening to. The reporting style of parent-teacher interviews. This is one which I think is very effective. It's got some benefits and limitations here, which you can have a look at, but the benefits do outweigh the limitations of a parent-teacher interview. Thank you for watching.